That might be something you're not doing right on your end. But if I have the questions on the screen right now, and when I'm playing the audio, you should be able to still hear everything. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to the next part, which is a map. Okay. Now, when it comes to maps, when it comes to maps, a lot of students have trouble with the map. Okay. And when it comes to maps, you have to really start making sure that you're able to really recognize map language. Now, when I'm looking at a map, I'll tell you the things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at a map. I'm looking at everything that I'm looking at markers, right? I'm looking at markers when I'm looking at the map. So I'm looking at okay, here's the bank, right? I'm looking at that city road. I'm looking at what? That's Hill Road, right? Who knows what this is called right here, right? This little road up here above Hill Road, what is that called? Does anybody know? What kind of road is that called? Because if you know what kind of road that's called, that really helps you be able to listen. Nobody knows? Abdullah said curve one. All right, yeah, but you have to know. No, bumpy. All right, so yeah, this is the problem, guys. You have to know that this in English is called a winding road. That's what it's called. It's called a winding road, right? I know that there's the public garden. All right, I know that there's the station square, and I know there's Crawley Road. I also have to make sure that I know about west, north, east, and south, west, north, and east, or is north, east, south, west, right? I got to know my directions. But if you're not able to recognize, like for example, choice D, how would you describe this small road for choice D, right? How is this described? Does anybody know? How would you describe that road? Narrow, okay. So you might say what? Narrow, right? A narrow diagonal road, right? It runs at a diagonal, all right? It's narrow or small. No, this little part right here above G, how would you describe that? This little road right here, how would you describe that road? The one that's going from G. Closed, right? So dead end, exactly. So when you're looking, when you should, in order to make maps easy, you have to improve your vocabulary. It's an English test, right? It's an English test. So you have to be able to recognize, right? How would you, if you're looking at C, how would you describe C? Where is C? How would anybody describe where C is? Where is C located? Does anybody know? No, not straight. All right, might be intersection. All right, but most of the time when you see something like C, right, it's going to be described as across from something, right? It wouldn't be at the inner. It wouldn't be at the. It wouldn't be at the. It wouldn't be intersection, right? But normally, if a mark is across from a building, they're going to say across from, right? Across from, or they opposite to the bank. Yes, they might say opposite to the bank. They may say what? South, on the south side from the bank, and they may use directional language. All right. Now, what's the English word And the reason why I'm going over this with you guys in terms of language is because some people don't get this part of making maps easy. What do you call this part where you have hill road and city road? Where hill road and city road come together, what do you call that in English? Also might say facing. What do you call that? No, no, it's not intersection. Yes, Ravi. All right, it's called a what? It's called a junction. Right? That's the English word they're going to refer to. So if you don't have the language, guys, that's what makes the map difficult. All right, this small part that's running right here along H. Right? This small part that's running along H. What do you call that part? This small little part going up from H into the garden. Does anybody know what that's called? Narrow, straight road. Well, it's not a road because there are no cars on it. No, no, it's not a block. All right. All right. So it could be possibly referred to as most likely, it'll be referred to as a footpath, right? Could be referred to as a passageway, right? Could be referred to as but it's not really a walk path, Abdullah. It'll be referred to as a footpath. All right. So we all have to remember they're testing our English. These are the English words they expect you to know. Right? These are the English words they expect you to know. Other English words they expect you to know. Facing. What does it mean when it says facing? Right? What does that mean? Up through. What does up through mean? Leads off. Right? There's a lot of language that relates to direction that you have to know. And if you don't know what facing means, or what does it mean to go up through, or what does it mean to lead off from, right? All this kind of language, this is all language. Same side, right? So all these words I've mentioned, all right, and there are more words. When you look at other maps, you come across different words. But that's why knowing how to practice is so important. That's why knowing how to practice is so important. A lot of you guys make the mistake of just taking one test and taking another test and taking another test and taking another test, and you keep getting the same result. You're not doing the things to be able to improve your score, right? So when you're looking at a map or you're practicing with a map, there's so many things you could be. We haven't even started answering the question yet, right? And I'm trying to really break down for you how you have to go about analyzing and looking at a question so that you can improve, right? It's not always about taking a practice test. Sometimes you're working on other skills. Sometimes you might listen to an audio and say, let me try and listen for all this. If I hear any type of new directional language or map language I've never heard before, let me just listen for that kind of stuff. I'm not even answering the questions. Because the better my vocabulary gets with these kind of questions, the easier it's going to be. Okay? All right. So now let's go ahead and answer. Right? Keep in mind, what? Hold on. Somebody asked me a question. These kind of questions, does direction mark given? No, they don't give you the direction marks. No, Kareem, you have to. They're going to say them. You have to be able to. When you hear the direction markers or the placement markers, you have to recognize where they're talking about, right? So, again, like I said, first step one is put in your memory where Hill Road is. Put in your memory where City Road is. Put in your memory where Public Garden is, where Crawley Road is, where Station is, where the bank is, where the Winding Road is. Put those markers in your mind. All right? But no, they're not going to tell, they're not giving you the markers. Okay? But you got to put those in your mind. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play it. Now remember, these go in order. They go in order. So first you're going to hear 15, then 16, then 17, then 18, then 19, and then you're going to hear 20. Right? All the questions for IELTS listening go in order. All right? They go in order. So the first thing they're going to tell you is where Reynolds' house is. Okay? Then they're going to tell you where the thumb is, then the museum. It never goes out of order. All right, Ibrahim, you shouldn't be trying, I mean, when you're talking about memorizing, what are you talking about memorizing? I think within 30 seconds, you're not memorizing it. Okay? You're not, what are you trying to memorize? Where is City Road, Public Gardens, Hill Road? You're just you're looking at where things are on the map. There's nothing to memorize. The map is right in front of your face. Right? You're not required to memorize anything. Okay? But you should know all this vocabulary before you even walk in the test. Junction, footpath, passageway facing up through, leads off, same inside, winding road across from, short, closed. Right? All that language you should already know. All right? But there's no requirement to memorize. Okay. I'm about to play the audio and answer the best way that you can, please. And then I'll go through everything and point it out for you.
After 6 p.m., many of the car parks have a flat rate which varies, but it is usually very reasonable.
Before you hear the rest of the podcast, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
The sheep market is one of the main centres for art and history in the whole of the country. If you look at our map, you'll see some of the main attractions there. Most visitors start from Crawley Road at the bottom of the map. The Reynolds house is one of the oldest houses in the city and is open to the public. It's on the north side of Crawley Road, next to the footpath that leads to the public gardens. The area is particularly interesting for its unusual sculptures. The thumb is just what its name suggests, but it's about 10 metres high. You'll see it on Hill Road, across the road from the bank. The museum's got a particularly fine collection of New Zealand landscapes. It's on the east side of the sheep market, on City Road. It's on the other side of the road from the public gardens, immediately facing the junction with Hill Road. The Contemporary Art Gallery is on a little road that leads off Station Square, not far from the public gardens. The road ends at the gallery. It doesn't go anywhere else. That's open every day except Mondays. The Warner Gallery specialises in 19th century art. It's on City Road, near the junction with Crawley Road, on the same side of the road as the public gardens. It's open on weekdays from 9 to 5 and entry is free. Finally, if you're interested in purchasing high-quality artwork, the place to go is Nucleus. You need to go from Crawley Road up through Station Square and east along Hill Road until you get to a small winding road turning off. Go up there and it's on your right. If you get to City Road, you've gone too far.
That is the end of section 2.
All right. What is the answer for number 15? '15 is H, and what did they say? 15 is H. They said north side of Crawley, footpath, look at what they said. You should be able to follow it. Right, the north side of Crawley Road, north side of Crawley, right? That's the north side of Crawley right here. Up the footpath, right? Up the footpath. This is the only footpath on the whole map. That's why knowing vocabulary is so important. It's a vocabulary test. In at the public garden. That means the answer has to be H. Okay? Answer has to be H. Ola, it can't be I. Right? There's no footpath over here, Ola. All right? There's no footpath over here. For some, I think Ola said I. I think so. All right. If you didn't say that, Ola, then I apologize for calling you out. Where's thumb? Number 16. All right, 16 is C. And this is what they said. Hill Road, across from Bank. Hill Road across from Bank. Right? So the better you learn the directional language, the easier it's going to be. Number 17, answer. All right, 17 is F. Right? What did they say? 17 is F. City Road. City Road. Facing the junction. Right? Where's the junction? Facing the junction